Hey everyone, welcome back to Behind the Paradigm. We have a new guest this week. Benji is joining us. I've been trying to give updates on Behind the Paradigm from Benji and playing a bit of telephone game with you guys. So it's exciting to have you here and you tell us directly all the fun stuff you've been working on with drifters. So you could just kick it off.
Well, thank you, Josie. Thank you for having me over. I was pretty jealous of seeing Ben having all the fame and getting all the camera time, the screen time all the time. So it's good to be out there. Yeah, there's been a lot of progress and a lot of work on VRMs and the drifters in general. On my side, I feel like my plate has been filled for days and days of work, which is amazing. I especially love all the R&D that I'm doing, which includes working out a few challenges to make the drifters the most interoperable assets out there that people can just grab them and just use them wherever they want. Thankfully, compared to Mechs, they are much more humanoid friendly and it is way easier to deal with them. But there's a lot of extra, because we don't have this big hurdle. Now we're trying to do a lot of little features and a lot of little things that we really want on these characters. And so those are extra challenges that I have to deal with. One that I was dealing with this week, and I've been trying to work on for a few weeks now, 2 weeks now, is animations. So something typical that people do. Actually, before I get there, I need to explain, maybe I'll just go back to the basics and explain what a VRM is. And so for that, I may as well share my screen too.
Yeah, go for it.
Can you see my screen now?
Yep. No,
Sweet.
yeah, yes, can see it.
I just love the classic. Can you see my screen? So this is a VRM, a VRM1 to be specific, but it's a VRM. It includes the skeleton, the data about the bone positioning, colliders, the mesh, and a bunch of spring bones, which are the circles, the yellow circles here,
and this is
and
not
a bunch of emotions.
This is not a drifter, by the way, but it's a avatar that we're using for an example.
Yes, exactly. So this is a 3VRM default avatar just used as a test. And it's got no animation, nothing, just the data about the avatar, the mesh, and colors, and blah, blah, blah. Now, what if we were to give it animations? Well, I've got a bunch of FBXs here. FBX is just the format that we use to have an unskinned skeleton that has information about where the bones should be from time 0 to time, I don't know, 120, for example. And so here, for example, we've got crawling, which is animation about crawling, cheering, boxing, whatever. So I'm going to put crawling in here. And what happens is we essentially take that information from the animation and we transfer it onto the VRM. And so then the VRM standard does the job at transforming the skeleton from the animation into an actual animation on the screen. So I'm going to change it to boxing now. I kind of like that one.
And can you also say, while you're showing some of this, why VRM is so important versus a different file type for an avatar?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and so so VRM is the reason we're going for VRM is for interoperability. I don't always struggle with that word. It is a very popular file format. It's off GLB, so it's not complicated. It's not anything new, but it is a standard that's been added onto GLB, which is another format, another 3 format. And it's been very popularized, especially thanks to VTubers who have their own anime while streaming or YouTube videos, whatever. And so it's very, very popular now because it essentially states what is the skeleton. It just says, this is the naming convention. This is what the skeleton should be like. This is what the posing should be like. And that's it. And thanks to that, it makes animating it easier. It makes positioning it easier, dealing with it easier. And so now it's been very popularized in the VTuber community, but also in the metaverses communities. So we've got
Which
on
is, by the
cyber.
way, just to interrupt for a second, which is not a very, like, it wasn't the standard a few short years ago, because I mean, I remember when I met Jin, Dank VR, you guys know him, like a while ago, and he was like really fighting for it, having weekly meetups like with all the people that were fighting for it. So this is like pretty cool that we're still at like such the beginning experience of building out the metaverse and virtual places, that now the reason why we're all trying to use VRM as the standard is so that it just works everywhere with everything, in games and worlds and VTubing and all of that. So you can continue, Benji.
Yeah, well, I mean, you pretty much took the words out of my mouth. I do have, it's like, it feels impossible to talk about VRM without shouting out Jin or at Dank VR. But you just did a marvelous job at doing that. But yes, I've been in contact with them and Meme Lutsky also, who have also both worked on a open source software to that creates the VRMs for you. And it's been fantastic to work with these guys and to continue developing and improving the industry.
Oh, yeah. Wait, and by the way, just also a quick yeah, cutie. They can make an appearance. A quick shout out also, just to, sorry, now I always cringe at myself when I say shout out, because my husband made fun of me one time for it, but I'm still gonna say it. That's the last time I apologize for it. A quick shout out to Benji, because Benji has been, even with this amazing open source code that Dank VR and Jin and all those guys at M3org have been working on, we have used that right out of the box and started putting our own stuff on top of it, as sort of like it was the basis for us. So thank you to them, but also a huge thank you to Benji, because Benji's done a ton of customization on it, specifically because obviously you guys know us over here at CyberBrokers. We just do too much all the time. We love doing that. So has done a ton of customization on it, making it like not what it used to be, and we'll probably end up adding that code to the open source code for everyone to use, which is really just awesome. And I think just part of the ethos of this whole space, that the stuff we're working on will all be open source, which is fun. Keep going, Benji. Just had to put that out there. Oh, you're muted. You're muted.
Thank you. I didn't expect all that, but I'll take it. I'll take it. Yeah, so this is where we are today. I mean, this is an example. Now, what if we have created previously what we could call avatars that export VRMs, and those are Mechs. So here's an example of a Mech VRM, and I've given it an animation. And so as you can see, it's a completely different avatar, but same skeleton, same standard, and therefore the VRM animations just work. This is a low quality poly by Mech, which is my NFT. And so don't judge it, please. It's also cheap parts.
It looks sick. I won't bring it.
But it's yeah, and it's doing a workout right now, so I'm pretty happy with it. There's a few challenges when it comes to animations. There is the fact that it seems to me, and if anyone here, if anyone in the audience has a solution or an idea of your ideas, please shoot them at us. The few challenges, the only challenge, or one of the biggest challenges in terms of animations, is the fact that it seems to me that the industry relies a lot on Mixamo. And so the skeleton coming from Mixamo animations, those FBX files that I was talking about, they have a specific skeleton format that is required, quote unquote, for the VRM animations. So these animations that we can see on screen, for example, the boxing one, are Mixamo animations. And if you were to create your own animation on Blender and then export it as a FBX, just like Mixamo, Blender would add an extra bone just before the hips. So you'd have your whole avatar, and then it would just add an extra bone and give that bone keyframes and animation information. And therefore, when we import that animation onto the web, the engine, which is Three.js, would not quite work with that animation. Things wouldn't quite work well because the VRM format says this is what the skeleton is to be, and Blender adds another skeleton, like some extra information, and therefore the system goes, "What is this? I don't get it." Anyway, I'm not going to go too deep into the technical issues. Therefore, the problem is, what if we want to have custom animations? And that is something that I've been working hard on for the past 2 weeks. And I've put a few GitHub issues here and there and a few text messages to some people, and I'm waiting for responses. And if you guys hear this and have an idea or have found something that was great and could help us, we'd love to hear it from you. Is that right, Josie?
Yes, we would love to. I just put out a tweet. It's not as simple as removing the bone. Believe me, I already asked Benji about it.
Yeah, and I tried it too.
Yeah. But yeah, no, thank you guys for also posting in there and hopefully trying to get us in the right direction. We want to do...
It'll be quite funny, but I can show what it looks like if you do just remove the bone. Okay. So this doesn't disclose anything, I believe, but it would look like this.
That's ridiculous. So if you remove the bone, this is what our drifter looks like, which is pretty scary and looks like a Halloween thing. Yeah, I mean, it's the reason why we're so interested in custom animations and poses is because if you guys know from Mechs and everything, that final card image is quite special and quite cool once you've done all of this work on customizing your drifter to be exactly what you want it to be. We want to give these like amazing options in the end for how you can pose your drifter for your final card. And they're really stylized and really cool. We've already built the poses or animations in Blender, but translating them, like what we're talking about, has become like totally a nightmare. We're going to pause and work on some of the other stuff now while we take a break from that. But once it all comes together, we'll be very, very happy because it looks really, really, really epic. So we'll get there. Awesome. This was a good update, Benji. I'm happy people are getting to meet you on these calls, and you'll probably be on most of the foreseeable future ones because we're just doing a lot of work on drifters, and now it's finally coming to the point where we can start showing stuff. So thank you. Anything else you want to say before we wrap up, or are you all good?
I can say, yeah, Ben, screw you. I'm taking screen time now.
Yes, definitely. Love having you up here. Maybe one day we'll do like the whole crew and we could just do our Thursday stand-ups on this call. Awesome. Well, thank you, Benji. Thanks, guys. See you on the next one. Bye.
Thank you, Josie.